Great Lakes, a recreational paradise unlike any other in the world. These natural wonders define the way of life for the people who live there and serve as the economic backbone of the region's manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism economies. After decades of unwise human impacts like toxic pollution, introduction of harmful invasive species, and destruction of millions of acres of wetlands, which are critical to wildlife habitat and serve as the lake's natural filters, scientists are saying that the Great Lakes are at a critical tipping point. In 2009, the federal government took notice of this crisis when the U.S. Congress and President Obama funded an unprecedented initiative to restore the Great Lakes with a $475 million down payment towards the president's promise to spend $5 billion on Great Lakes restoration over the next 10 years. Just 1 year later, the first GLRI-funded project to be completed is wrapping up in Michigan's Saginaw Bay region, the Shiawassee Flats Floodplain Wetland Restoration Project.
One of the projects we're working on right now at the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge is called Moist Soil Unit 7. It's currently an agricultural field, 141 acres. It's right next to the Flint River. And we received some Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding through the Upper Mississippi and Great Lakes Region joint venture, about $100,000 to convert that agricultural field back to its historic wetlands.
Well, the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative has been critical in enabling us to restore this 140-acre farm field to wetland. The site is directly adjacent to the Flint River, but it's completely segregated from the hydrology of the Flint. So through this project, we'll be able to install the dikes, the water control structures, and other facilities that will give us water management capability over this site. So we'll be able to restore a wetland for waterfowl, for wading birds, for shorebirds, and innumerable wetland creatures. There's been many partners that have been involved with this project. Of course, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Shiawassee Flats Citizens and Hunters Association, Michigan DNRE, Ducks Unlimited has been a critical partner, and the Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative Network. But what really put us over the top was the contribution through the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative.
Saginaw Bay is a massive coastal inlet of the Great Lakes, making over 1,000 square miles of Lake Huron. Containing the largest contiguous freshwater coastal wetland system in the country, Saginaw Bay makes up one of Michigan's most diverse ecosystems. This in turn supports agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and outdoor recreation. To put it mildly, the bay is a hunting, fishing, and wildlife watching paradise. The bay itself is the largest drainage basin in the region, draining roughly 15% of Michigan's entire land area. Over the years, high amounts of soil erosion, excessive nutrient loading, and pollution turned Saginaw Bay into an environmental catastrophe. Contaminated sediments, fish that are too polluted to eat, and loss of significant recreational values have led to the Saginaw Bay's designation as a national area of concern. For years, groups like Ducks Unlimited have worked on various projects with state, federal, and local stakeholders to restore Saginaw Bay's freshwater resources and wildlife habitats. The Shiawassee Flats Floodplain Wetland Restoration Project is one of those, and because of the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, Ducks Unlimited, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and Michigan Department of Natural Resources and Environment were able to immediately put crews to work on restoring the hydrology of a former floodplain wetland in the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge. In addition to benefiting the diverse fish and wildlife in the area, the project will greatly improve freshwater ecology for the entire Saginaw Bay region. It will also provide hunting, fishing, and wildlife watching recreation for the area's booming tourism economy.
Tourism is what we're all about. We're privileged to have about 2 million visitors come through Bronner's each year, and the community of Frankenmuth has 3 million visitors. And why do people come to Frankenmuth? Well, Michigan's a beautiful, beautiful state, and we're very blessed to be surrounded by gorgeous Great Lakes. We have visitors that come over from Europe, and they just cannot fathom that all that water out there is fresh water. They think it must be another ocean. So we're very fortunate to have all that shoreline of beautiful fresh water that puts Michigan in a very unique perspective. And we have many fine communities. Frankenmuth, of course, would be one of them, where everybody works together in a cooperative fashion. And that's the way we'd like to see it also, with the federal dollars coming in to help us support and maintain and keep those Great Lakes sparkling.
The natural resources in and around our community are very important to give people new reasons to come visit not only our destination but the entire region. The Shiawassee National wildlife refuge is especially important. It neighbors our community. It gives our visitors a whole nother avenue of things to do while they're here.
In our area, many of the familiar things, canoeing and kayaking, of course sports fishing, very important to us, but one of our biggest and brightest assets is the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge. Many of the gateway communities that are adjacent to the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge and the state game area are what keep the tourism industry in some of these smaller communities viable.
There's no question GLRI funding grows the economy where the projects are being completed. A recent study shows that for every dollar spent in this type of restoration work, the economic impact was nearly double. Projects like the Shiawassee Flats restoration don't just bring in revenue for hunting license sales and birdwatching gear, they reach every facet of Michigan's economy and drive jobs in many sectors. To complete the project, contractors are employed, followed by architects, designers, consultants, large equipment operators, and other tradesmen. Once completed, those coming to enjoy the area and recreate will frequent gas stations, restaurants, hotels, golf courses, shopping malls, grocery stores, and more. From a bulldozer operator to a cook at the local diner, the economic impact of GLRI funding reaches deep into the community. Sites like the Shiawassee Flats are waiting all across the state. Sustained, consistent funding is needed to keep pace with the urgent threats to the lakes, to make up for years of inadequate federal investment and to ensure the GLRI's long-term success. It also ensures that local businesses, banks, schools, and more have the revenue to employ people and keep them functioning. After decades of abuse, the Great Lakes need help and will not be healed overnight. A comprehensive strategy identified by the Great Lakes Regional Collaboration identified more than $20 billion in activities to restore and protect this international resource. The GLRI funds appropriated in 2009 made only a small dent in the backlog of restoration projects like the Shiawassee Flats. The longer we wait to make needed investments in the Great Lakes, the worse and more expensive the problems they face will get. An investment in the Great Lakes today is an investment in the Great Lakes families for tomorrow.